Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Dylan Silver, and today on the show, I have Mike Gamble out of Oregon. Mike, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to see what it's all about.
I always like to start off at the top of the show by asking folks how they got into the real estate space.
Yeah, after the kind of 2008 debacle, I needed a job and had a buddy who was in property management, and I thought, well, I could probably do that too. That's it. I didn't, I'd owned rentals previously, but I didn't really have it wasn't a lifelong dream or anything to be in property management, but it's done very well for us.
And so property management, this is 2009 timeframe. What was that like? Was this a lot of people who had vacant properties, or was this a lot of people who had people who weren't paying? What was it like back then?
Yeah, I mean, you've got different kinds of clients as as owners. You have people who are long-term landlords who've owned properties for generations, and they, the ebbs and flows of the market don't really affect them as much. And then we had a lot of what I would call accidental landlords who had a house and couldn't sell it, and then put it on the rental market because that was a kind of a weird time in our history for real estate. And in that particular time frame, you really had to pay attention to make sure that your property owner was paying their mortgage, because obviously we had a huge foreclosure crisis. So it put some different challenges on us, but I think it gave us a good base, and we grew very well as a company, and made it through that.
So getting into the property management space at the really peak of mayhem must have been an interesting time to get in there. You had, of course, previous experience as an investor, so
Yeah.
the passion was there. Getting into managing other people's properties, was this totally new to you? Had you done it before?
No, I was completely new. Like I said, I just needed a job. I worked for a company before that basically, because of the financial crisis in 2008, was not in a good financial position. So I left that company and needed something to do, and property management ended up being it. So we started our company, and have taken off from there.
And so let's talk about scaling a business in the property management space. I've had a couple folks on here who do a lot of like short-term rental management, but this is a different time, right? So these weren't short-term rentals, I'm imagining, right? So what was it like in that space, and how did you find additional clients? Was it a lot of people who were coming to you, or was it you having to do a lot of outreach, friends of friends, or was it you had lots of people coming to you?
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, you know, you I didn't even know how to go get a new client. I'd always worked for other companies, and and things like Facebook and TikTok didn't exist, and YouTube was they didn't use those advertising platforms. So I mean, it was literally flyers, and for a while, I'd go to the courthouse on eviction day,
Oh,
and I would sit through evictions, And then when the owner got done with the eviction, I knew he had an empty house and didn't know what to do with it. And so I'd go talk to that guy and say, hey, you want me to help you, with the turnover process, and I can help you with the accounting for your previous tenant, and I can help you get a new tenant. And so that was just kind of guerrilla marketing right there. Or if you saw a for rent sign in the front yard, and a lot of times you have those handwritten, scribbled for rent signs out there, and I'd call the number and say, you want to let me do this? And it was a slow process at first. I got my first client and was living on about $75 a month for the first couple of months. But it kind of snowballs after a while. You get a few clients who trust you, and then they start telling other people about you, and you get some momentum.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
That's how it starts. The courthouse steps, I can relate to that because as a wholesaler, I've been somewhat passionate about going to the auction day. In Texas, it's Texas Tuesday. You kind of call it auction day or Texas Tuesday, the first Tuesday of every month at the county courthouse steps. And it's very interesting because I mean, how many times are we seeing public auctions, going on in today's society? And so they, of course, have a digital element to it, but very much public auctions. So you see a lot of the same people, you see a lot of the same faces. And I never thought about it from the other way of, well, hey, this person, in the eviction sense is losing a tenant. So now it's an unoccupied building, and now they have to figure out what to do with it. Are they going to sell it? Are they going to find another tenant? It's kind of a headache if they're not doing this full time. Now it's, a burden to them. And so you came in and said, let me solve a problem here. Were there a lot of people that were doing that, or did you kind of come up with this strategy on your own?
No, I was the only one there. Matter of fact, I went to the eviction court in our area. It can happen every day, and so I went to eviction court for 2 or 3 months in a row. And at one point, the judge is like, "Why are you here? Because you're not on the docket. You don't have a case." And I just said, "I'm just here to learn." Because I was new to the industry and didn't know the ins and outs necessarily, and I knew this was part of the process, and so it was free education just to sit in there and understand how to approach a judge and understand the verbiage and terminology that can sometimes be scary for different people.
Yeah.
And so I would just absorb that. And then when a guy, won an eviction case or lost, and he walked out of the courtroom, I'd follow him out and hand him my card and say, hey, I guess in some ways it's kind of ambulance chasing a little bit, but I needed clients, and those were clients. I knew, it's hard to, and when you're in such a specific space, I'm not selling cheeseburgers. Everybody needs a cheeseburger a couple times a week. But I need somebody who owns a rental property, who is tired of doing it, who's frustrated. And where else can you find those? And I thought eviction court's a great place.
What an innovative strategy. I'd like to think that everybody who has been doing real estate and is a real estate operator for more than 5 years is able to adapt. So when I hear a strategy like this, go to an eviction hearing, see the person who won or lost, hand them your card, strike up a conversation. I'm like, that's really thinking outside the box. Even the judge was like, what are you doing here? And so, these really kind of get the creative juices flowing for me and my business. Scaling from there, so you had 2009, 2010, 2011, things are getting a little bit better. What's the business like? How are you finding clients? How does it grow? How does it scale?
Yeah. Well, once you get a little bit of momentum and you kind of find out you're jumping into a new space. I didn't have any experience in professional property management, so I didn't know where to go to get a client. But you start learning. You go to networking events, and you decide. You figure out which ones are worth it, which ones are not worth it, which ones are worth your time. offering clients rebates or discounts if they refer you, and then you kind of get to a space after a few years where you have a reputation and it just sort of does it on its own. Now we of course still advertise and do marketing and all those things, but uh, our best referral comes from another one of our clients. That's the best way to get a new
Yeah.
client, because they all the it's not all the other hurdles are already taken down. You're just so and so said I should use you. Where do I sign?
At
That's the
that
best way.
point, Mike, was there a lot of property management across state lines? I see a lot of this now, but this is a different time, right? So was there a lot of people who were doing it across state lines, or was it really, you have to be where you're at?
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Yeah, well, there's definitely a lot more across state lines now, and you've got huge companies who are coming in, kind of gobbling up the small guys. Back then, no, not so much. And Oregon specifically, you have to be licensed in Oregon. Uh,
Hmm.
there's other states like Idaho, you don't have to have a license, as far as I know.
Yeah.
And some licenses will cross state lines. Oregon's very, very specific about their licensing. So when a new company comes in and they start buying up smaller companies, they have to have a representative here in the state. They can't just exist here.
So the license, it's a real estate license?
It's a property management license. Yeah. So
Okay.
so I'm licensed through the real estate agency, and it's one of the licenses they offer.
This is very interesting. So it's actually a little different to my understanding in Texas. So when we were going through, I'm a new agent, been licensed about 2 months. When we were going through our real estate agent course, one of the things they're talking about is property management. You need to be a licensed real estate agent in Texas to be a property manager. There's probably additional certifications that would look good and would help, but I was thinking, wow, there's all these different ways for someone to be an effective operator in the real estate space. So scaling your or pivoting back here, Mike. So scaling your business, you're taking off. You really put in the grind those first couple years. Really tough time to be involved in real estate for a lot of people. At any point in time, was there a pivot moment or a pivot point in the business where things really started to take off, or where you adopted a different strategy along those lines?
Yeah, I think when you get to a point when you can let your bad clients go, it was a huge difference for us. When we were spending 90% of our time on 10% of our clients, and when we kind of looked at it and said, what could we do if we just didn't have these 10%? And it was hard because we needed the funds. I mean,
Yeah.
we still weren't at a point where we had additional funds, but when when you can let your first client go, when you just say, I don't want to work with you anymore for this reason or that reason, it's free. And it is really, I mean, it's a weight off your shoulders to not have that person, you know, has absurd, expectations or whatever, and no boundaries to tell them that they don't have any control over you anymore. It's a huge weight, and it allows freedom to do other things. And when I bring on a new client now, they're interviewing me, but I'm interviewing them too. And at this
Yeah.
point, we're at a point now where I'm turning down 40 or 50% of the people who walk through the door, because there's not going to be a good fit. And we set the right expectation up front. And if we're not going to meet each other's expectations, well, I don't want to just fight them for the first 6 months. It's like, well, we're just not a good fit. And here's a list of people that I recommend, go give a try to. So
Mike, there's been a lot of change for what real estate investors can do, right? So of course, Airbnb is the biggest one that I see as far as management. I've had a lot of people who do the Airbnb management for other folks in their state, across states. I've even seen international. Was this a shift that you saw and you said, whoa, this is kind of like a tidal wave? There's a lot of people who are getting into this Airbnb management. Did you get into that yourself?
no, we never got into the short term management. It's almost a completely different business. It's with
Yeah.
with short-term management, with those spaces, you're creating escapes for people. A lot of times you're creating these little miniature spa situations, or you see a lot of the Airbnb, very specific.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Themes and whatnot, and we're renting people's homes, and it's just a different space. The other thing that to think about with Airbnb, our workload is very front and back loaded, in that we do a lot of work to get people in and a lot of work to get people out.
Right.
And in the middle, there's management for sure. You're doing inspections and you're collecting rent and you're doing notices. But with Airbnb, I've always looked at it and said, man, that is the heaviest load over and over and over again. And you could charge a fee to make it work for you. But the other thing I've always learned is you can't be everything to everybody. So get in, know your space, be an expert in your space. And anytime I've ever tried to be everything to everybody, I haven't done very good at it. And so we kind of stay in our lane. We do residential property management long term, and there's companies out there who do a great job with Airbnb, and I let them do that.
Our rooster just went off in the background. I don't know if our listeners could hear that, but there's I'd say a huge opportunity for folks now more than ever to offload a lot of the work of managing a single family, right? If they're renting it out, they have lots of different options to go to. I think client acquisition and scaling a business in this space is now probably more competitive than ever, right? You talk about people going across state lines and larger companies stepping into the space. Are you seeing right now that when maybe a newer investor has a single family home that they would like someone else to manage, are they doing what everyone else is doing and going online and doing a Google search, or are they trying to go to their network through word of mouth and see what they can do to find someone to manage the property?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I mean, Google's king. We all know that, right? I mean, it is what it is. But they're talking with their realtor or different contacts in our space, a realtor and property manager, different things. So, but Google's king. I mean, they are what they're always driving traffic, and that's, I think, how most people find us. And we put resources and effort towards Google and then social media and different things. And I would say most people are just going online, or hopping on their phone and finding property manager near me. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think about the different ways where people are spending money. It's interesting because when I have these conversations, I think about, well, how is the advertising working for this avatar, for this vertical? Because I think about what I'm doing with trying to acquire off-market distressed real estate, and there's people who spend tons of money on direct mail, and I'm like, well, it must work because they're spending so much money every single month sending out mailers to people, cash offer on your home. It's amazing these different avenues that work. But I imagine the Google has got to be probably the best driver of traffic to you.
Yeah, we did a direct mailing campaign, and it was pretty successful. Very small percentage return, but it's inexpensive overall. Yeah. When you talk about per piece, it's interesting. The mailing campaign, we paid in our company to manage it, but we had our mascot's a Bigfoot, and so we had 12 postcards, and they would go out, and you'd get one a quarter if you were on our list, and then it would shift. So it would take you basically 4 years to get all 12 postcards, because it would shift. That 1 year you got the January one, the next year you got the February one. But it was amazing. We did get some return on it. We actually had more people call to tell us to take us off the mailing list, and I thought in my head, what how much time must you have in your life? Like, I don't call Domino's. I don't call Domino's and be like, I don't eat your pizza. Take me off the mailing list. Uh, and the postcards were kind of cool. They all had a Bigfoot and a theme, and I had some owners who come in and look, I've collected all 12. They thought maybe they got a prize or something. But the mailers were great, but almost as much effort went into taking people off the mailing list as we received in clients.
I didn't realize that people were ever gonna. I've never once thought about take me off the mailing list. That's an interesting one. With sending out mailers without giving away all the game, Mike, but maybe a gold nugget here. If someone is a property manager, they're sending out mailers. Are you looking for absentee owner, so someone who's the owner but not living there, and that's how you're finding records to send out to people?
Yeah, well, it's funny you mentioned, without giving away the whole game. I've always had the approach. There's plenty of business to go around, and I'll tell you all my secrets.
Here we go.
Come and get it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if you're doing good in the space, then you're fine. So I mean, but yeah, so we can go through a mailing list, and you can buy a list where the person gets an owner owns more than 2 addresses and gets the taxes sent to another address, which would essentially mean, okay, they have 2 properties in this region, zip codes or whatever. You can break it down a lot of different ways, and that would mean either they have a home for sale currently, or they have a rental or something where they own 2 addresses. So, and I would say it's probably about 70% effective hitting the right crowd. But instead of mailing out 200,000 mailers, we're mailing out 6,000 mailers, and they're
Sure.
pretty specific. So
Now, I'm not too familiar, pivoting a bit here, Mike, with the ins and outs of Oregon real estate law. And I'm not an attorney, so really, I can't, even if I wanted to, I wouldn't be able to. But one of the interesting things that I think people think about as real estate investors in Texas, we kind of think selfishly, we've got the best real estate market in the country. If you're a single family investor and you're in, DFW Metroplex, like, we've got it better than anybody else. But I've had lots of conversations with people all across the country, in places like Detroit, places like the Carolinas, Tennessee, Alabama, and it's gotten me thinking, like, there's all these niche markets that, I haven't looked at that maybe I should look at. If someone is looking to buy property in Oregon, is it favorable in many ways, at least in your perspective, to landlords?
yeah, I think so, but it's going to be a little different. Oregon's a very they're very tenant sensitive, and there's a lot of laws in place to protect tenants. And so you get an owner coming from Texas or Alabama who buys in Oregon, they're in for a shock when they go to try and do anything. So, but we help people navigate that. Those laws, in reality, do drive rental prices up because they make it harder for landlords, and so you are getting a good return, and we've seen rents appreciate very, very, very quickly here, specifically in Eugene and Springfield, but all through Oregon. But when you look at, I look at some stuff in the Midwest, and buy a place in Iowa and you're cash flowing $1,000 a month. That's difficult here. So
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
you're into it for the long term. You're into it for long term here. A lot of people, they come to Oregon. This is where they want. This is where they want to live. People buy a lot of rentals here because they're going to retire here in 10 years, and they're buying something here now so they can get it at a price, and then they want to move. They want to move into that house in 10 years or whatever. We do get some California investors just because we are a little less expensive than the San Francisco market.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say there's not this widespread bargains or anything in the area. Those numbers have come back a little bit post COVID, but I would say there's a bit of a premium here in the state when you're buying real estate.
Are there any and I'm not sure exactly how much this is within your purview here, but are there any major areas of Oregon which are really great investment opportunities for single family investors? If I'm looking at, hey, I might move to Oregon potentially, and I kind of want to set up my home base, are there any areas that you've seen be lucrative?
Well, I'd say every area's got its pros and cons. We do have a couple of areas that are a little more restrictive on owners. The Eugene market and Portland market, they do have their own guidelines on top of national and state laws. They have their own specific things that do make it a little more challenging for rental property owners. That can be seen as an opportunity sometimes because other rental owners are getting out of the market, and so when there's less rentals available, again the prices go up. But when I look at a rental property in general to purchase, I want to make sure I look at what are the local municipality laws and everything. What are my restrictions as far as an owner? How favorable is that market? And then you break it down into even like, well, okay, what are the taxes in this area? What are HOA fees? What's the vacancy rate? I can't sit here and say there's a specific hotbed necessarily, widespread in Oregon, but our market's really, really strong, and our vacancy rate's very, very low, just kind of across the board, and we still have investors coming in every day.
Mike, we are coming up on time here. Where can folks go to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so we manage properties in Eugene and Springfield, Crestwell and Cottage Grove, and then also down in Southern Oregon, Medford, Grants Pass, Central Point, and they can go to northwoodspm.com, and all the information's on there about us and our company. And then you can reach out to your local property manager right there from the website, or you can there's a form you can fill out, and then one of us will reach back out to you.
Mike, thank you so much for coming on the show here today.
Absolutely. It's been fun. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.